Well, let's start out by describing how it works, by talking about the necessity of these waterfalls and why the water runs 24 hours a day. It runs 24 hours a day because in this rainwater we need to put free oxygen, DO, and FDO, if you want to call it that. It helps the composition of the biological material, grass clippings and other kinds of organisms that depend upon oxygen to decompose all the pollution that comes from the neighborhood. So these waterfalls are designed to add oxygen to the system. When the various points of entry that we have the waterfalls throughout this system, and the system is quite lengthy, and we'll go around it, but the waterfalls add the DO, and it winds up that what we're putting in there in terms of free oxygen measures more than most Michigan trout streams. So that kind of oxygen, free oxygen, helps to digest and break down most of the pollution that's organic mattered origin pollution or biopollution. And that biological element of this pollution system is about 60% of the pollution. So the pond that you see behind you is what we call the deadwood swamp, and it is designed to hold a certain amount of bacteria or little critters, if you want to call them that consumes other things like non-biological material, heavy metals and that kind of thing. It also eats up these critters, these bacteria that's in the bottom of this pond, that live in this pond. It's like a condominium park for bacteria. It also takes on a lot of the biological material that's in there. And without the free oxygen, we wouldn't be able to do anything with that pollution. It wouldn't go away, it would just sit there. So we have to keep the water running, and we have to add oxygen to it, and you can see the amount of oxygen that we're adding. As you can see, this waterfall empties the first pond, which we talked about earlier, but this channel that it runs through and the first waterfall up there are made out of 100% pure limestone. So we have crushed limestone at the base with a few other kinds of stones thrown in, but the walls of this little creek that we've made through here that goes underneath the bridge to the next pond is made out of limestone. And that limestone, it creates a buffer between the acidity of the water, and it helps take all the extra acid out of the water, basically. And limestone is a wonderful material in that it neutralizes the acid. So the pH of this particular facility winds up being extremely low. So the water runs from this pond to the bell-shaped pond, which is down on the northern end of this trail, or this path that we've made for the water, the little creek. And the limestone takes the acid out of the system, and it leaves it almost acid free, and it dumps into this pond, which is shaped like a bell, and it's designed to go out of here with some force, and then it slows itself down, and all the suspended solids that are in the water system will drop out of the system and lay on the bottom of this pond here. Now, about every 20 years or so, we'll have to clean this pond out, and the pond to the north, we'll have to clean them out. We haven't had to do it yet, and it's been over about 26 years since, and we haven't had any problem with them. So, as I mentioned before, the bell-shaped pond is meant to take out some of the suspended solids out of the water column, and it drops them down into a mixture of vegetation that's below, and the bacteria and everything that's in the pond winds up disposing of most of the biological pollution. And then it comes through a stream right here, and it adds more oxygen into the system. And this stream that dumps into here is a long bathtub-shaped pond, and it's got about 24 inches of limestone at the bottom, and it's lined with a rubber liner. And the limestone at the bottom covered with sand, covered with a mixture of peat moss or peat soil and sand. And the soil limestone mix is about 5 to 6 foot deep. The water is actually, the actual water column is actually about 2.5 to 3 foot deep. Peat has the amazing ability to take dissolved solids that are iron-based or steel-based, which is a lot of it it's probably about 20% of the pollution load, and keeps it like a magnet does when you spread shavings on the kitchen table and you move a magnet around and it collects all those shavings. That's exactly what happens with this peat. So the water runs through the peat, being full of dissolved oxygen, and it digests all of the metal that is in the water column, and it makes the water cleaner at that point. So we will go down to the spreading ditch, which is on a lower level, and it's on the other side of this particular stream. The pond that we're looking at right now is a long linear spreading ditch. We call it a spreading ditch because it moves the upper water after it comes out of the peat filtered pond. It moves into this pond and it gets spread to the ponds below, which we'll talk about in a minute. But this pond also takes some of the sediment load out, and it's about 3.5 feet deep. It's lined with clay, and none of this water charges into the earth or recharges back into the earth. One, it's polluted. Two, we just can't make it work with the soils that we have here, even if we wanted to recharge it. But I refuse to have the recharge go down to a system of underground aquifers that they take drinking water from, simply because it's so polluted. If you look to the south of these ponds, you'll see a whole area from the spreading ditch to the ponds, which is part of what created a floodplain forest kind of environment there. And when it rains hard in this neighborhood, this water, this lower pond will fill up, and it backs up all over that floodplain up to the spreading ditch, and it's all the vegetation that's in that spreading area, or north of the spreading ditch, captures a lot of the suspended pollution that's in the system and makes it part of the soil. And then down here I have 3 different ponds. I've got one right in front of us, and I've got where the lily pads are. That's a different pond, that's at a different depth. And then there's a third pond around the other side of the island, starting where those lilies are. Now, all of the plants that we put in here have a great ability to deal with phosphorus and other kinds of pollutants, heavy metals, and all of that the neighborhood chooses to allow to come in their stormwater. So this facility cleans, polishes it, evaporates it, transevaporates it, and gets rid of all the stormwater in the system, and it's saved between $18 and $22 million. It's a huge benefit to the community. And it costs around $35,000 a year to operate, which is divided by all the people that have to pay for it, it's hardly anything at all. Now, what you have in front of you here is a sand pit, and this is a turtle cage where the turtles come up and lay eggs in the upper part of the sand, and they're allowed to get into the pond below through the lower elevations of the fence down below. But this keeps the crows and the raccoons from digging the eggs up and destroying them. So we will About every 2 or 3 years we get in and clean this out and reactivate the soil, and we'll be doing that again this year. The idea of managing water from a watershed perspective is a kind of a new concept. I built this in 1988, or 1998, excuse me, and everybody who I told I was going to build it just thought I was nuts. They just couldn't believe that it could be done. But I knew it could be done, and I took all of this land that's available to us that are owned by the municipals, replumbed the neighborhood and put it all into circulation throughout this neighborhood, and not a drop goes into the Red Cedar River, and it's cheaper than any operating water system anywhere in the world. And they have a side benefit of walking around the path, watching the wildlife that's in it. It's just requires some maintenance. The maintenance bill is somewhere around $35,000, $25,000, $35,000 a year. And that includes the electricity for the pump that circulates the water. And that's, if you add up the savings from the traditional method of taking this water to the river, it winds up being something like 640 some years we can maintain it for $35,000 a year and still not spend what we saved. It's incredible. It's an incredible way that urban environments can increase the water quality problem, deal with their pollution problem, and recreate at the same time. It becomes a haven for wildlife in the middle of a busy city. And this is right in the middle of urbanized Lansing. The whole system throughout the day and part of the night, it's got people on it. Neighborhood people are here all the time. Right after dinner, about 7 o'clock at night, starting in spring all the way through till fall, it's just full of people. Neighborhood people bring their wagons down here with the kids in it and their dogs and whatever, and they just walk these trails for exercise. It's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I walk this guy's like a triathlete. We're out every day for a couple miles one way or another. So yeah, everybody's out here in the winter. We're out here all season. Yeah, we love it.
So it was money pretty well spent?
Oh yeah, it's a great park. Yeah, people can just walk here. We walk our dogs, we pick up trash. It's just really nice.
We didn't anticipate this popularity that big, but it became extremely popular. I think this is the cheapest way to go. It's the best way to go. It benefits everybody. It is so easy to operate and maintain. And in Michigan, 24% or 20%, somewhere in there, of the fresh water in the whole world is in the Great Lakes. And we shouldn't be pumping this stuff through the river system to Lake Michigan, just polluting the big lakes. We keep it all here in the neighborhood, and we deal with it. And we pay to clean it, and we pay, the neighborhood pays to clean it, and that's part of their annual fee. And I think it's a beautiful thing. It's a remarkable way to combine nature, social living, and pollution abatement, and handle a utility. There should be more of these. There should be 1 or 2 or 3 of these in every single city.